as always, if you think of a question or something, feel free to ping me or email me or text me. A song just popped into my head. You can call me on my cell phone. Like someone just said that to me last week, but that too, if you have my number, go ahead.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Screens, IT at ND, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the IT solutions consultants at the University of Notre Dame.
Here, we explore the challenges they face, the innovative solutions they provide, and the tips and tricks that can help you make the most out of your technology. I'm Deanna, IT support technician with the service desk.
And I'm Scooter, Director of Information Technology for the College of Arts and Letters. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Our guest today is Jennifer Parker, Manager of the Campus Workstation Program. Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you back. We had Jen on the show almost a year ago for season 1, episode 13, where we got a great overview of the Campus Workstation Program. As you're probably all aware, prices for Windows PCs are going through the roof. This will have impacts across the university, and CWP is one of those areas where we'll likely see some significant change coming. Now, a quick spoiler alert before anybody gets too anxious. Much of what you're going to hear today is in flux. These are ideas, these are possibilities, but a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today have not been decided, but we wanted to give you kind of a heads up so you know what's possible and know that we're in conversation at various levels with the CWP steering committee, Jen and her management chain, and several other folks. So this is all early preview stuff, but we want you to be part of the conversation. So that's why we're doing this even without all of these finished answers yet. So just as a quick reminder, when you were on the show last time, you gave us a couple of really significant stats. First, you told us that about 75% of campus computer purchases are through CWP. Is that still about right?
Yep, still close to that range, give or take, depending on the fiscal year, but yes.
Yep. So I mean, we're going to be, you're going to be strongly affected by these price increases. And also we see, you told us that we were, so almost a year ago, that we were anticipating about 1,800 refreshes, CWP refreshes, and that this was due in part to COVID. So the timing of that cycle. So how many have we done so far? Are we on track to hit that 1,800, or are we coming up shorter than we think, or higher? Where are we?
So I think we were originally on track to hit that 1,800. However, with the changes and the tumultuous market, not only from the hardware standpoint, but I think just from the government standpoint as well, with kind of a pause on hiring and things of that nature, we are definitely going to come up a little short. And honestly, I'm not mad about that. Hopefully that'll help us put some balance back into our 4-year refresh cycle.
Mm-hmm. So Jen, can you just give us an overview of what the heck is going on? What are these prices looking like, and what that means for you and maybe your position?
Yeah, for sure. So based on the development of AI data centers and the increase in usage of AI, there have been some larger companies that have bought up all of the storage and memory chips for, I believe, the fiscal year 26 supply. Therefore, there is not an ample amount left to manufacture existing models of computers. So, of course, demand increases, supply decreases, that triggers price increase. And with that being said, there's been, just a lot going on with the chip suppliers needing to cancel or void their contract with, Dell and HP and Lenovo, other Windows providers. Therefore, that has impacted the pricing that they've been able to promise and move forward with. And so it has caused a ripple effect and impacted even our contract. Unfortunately, there's not much that can be done about that. It's unforeseen circumstances, just like when we experienced COVID. However, I've been told that this could potentially be worse than COVID
Mm.
times, which I don't love. But hearing that triggered us to look at what we needed to do to buy us some time to figure out a direction. So we're seeing about we were already heavily discounted on our standard and enhanced model. So we not only saw the increase, we also adjusted from our discounted price to the baseline market price and then an additional increase.
Mm.
So it looks like our models increased 40 to 60%.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge. And so, I mean, so if I'm remembering correctly, that means that like our standard CWP Windows machine has gone from like $1,100 to is it over $1,700
Yeah, just a
somewhere?
little over 1,700. Yep.
Right. I mean, that's a huge increase for us. And just to make sure I understood you correctly, I mean, you're saying that contracts are being broken all up and down the whole supply chain. I
Yeah.
mean, that these companies at sort of the bottom of the food chain are deciding that it's more profitable for them to actually break their contract and pay legal fees and penalties to charge a higher price than it is to honor the contract.
Yes.
And that's what's working its way all the way up the chain
Yes.
and affecting us
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
However, our partnership with CDW extends beyond purchasing hardware. So that is something that, well, we're extremely grateful for. They have made an exception when all of this transpired. Obviously, we were notified right away. This was, right before winter break. And then we were still waiting to hear what that price adjustment would be. We were told 30%, 20 to 30%, 30 to 40%. And so we were still awaiting the number. And then we received, contact from CDW that they were able to lock in our pricing for an additional 2 weeks so that we could make a pre-buy order.
2 whole weeks?
2 whole weeks. Yeah,
Wow.
that was fun. Without even knowing actually what the price increase was going to be. So that was interesting to figure out where we were going to land and how much inventory we should allocate, in our pre-buy. And so we started out with just a couple of months, and then we extended it through the end of the fiscal year. And then we went ahead and extended it even further just through the end of the year. So then I had to go in and do some projections and wanted to account for, our increased volume periods of time, like back to school. And then obviously different schools in different departments across the university handle their refresh cycles a little bit differently. So I wanted to make sure I was accounting for that. Ultimately, CDW had planned and got approval for us to do a pre-buy around the amount of 300,000, and our pre-buy we requested ended up being closer to 500,000, and they were able and willing to approve that, which was amazing. So with that being said, we were able to lock in for us here at the university our current pricing to get us through, hopefully, till the end of 2026. And in the meantime, the CWP steering committee, we are all working together to turn over every stone to figure out what options we have and how to move forward to, keep providing machines and at least one option with no additional charge. So it's been a lot, but trying to make sure that we've got everyone covered and accounted for.
That's incredible. And that was at I know you don't like to use the term cost savings, but you're using cost avoidance, but I still say you're saving the university money. About how much money have you helped us avoid by getting this pre-buy-in at these, at our current or former, however you want to describe it, pricing?
Sure. Yeah. So the overall cost avoidance, as I was communicated by IT finance, if that's the proper term,
Okay.
was around $430,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So nearly $500,000 that you're saving the university because we've done this pre-buy, because we have, it's something like 600 or 700 machines now that CDW is holding for us.
Yeah.
About 2/3 of those are standards, and then we have some enhanced models. But because we got those in that 2-week window when we could keep that pricing, that's fabulous.
Nice.
So
Yes, thank
I
you.
hope you
It
at least
just
get lunch out of this or something. I mean, safe at the university, $500,000 should get you something.
all in a day's work.
So now, was this kind of offer, this pre-buy thing, was this something that CDW was, I mean, is this a higher ed thing? Is this, I
So
mean,
their relationships with enterprise or organizations, this is something that they have been offering. However, let me just say they changed the model. So when all of this happened, they were no longer offering the ability to do pre-buys because basically what that does is the total amount is held on their books until we submit a purchase order, and then obviously it shifts from their books to our books. So they discontinued that for the time being and shifted into a buy and hold so that it would remain on their customers' books versus their own. Obviously, that mitigates risk for them. But as mentioned, they did not lock in pricing for any other enterprise or higher ed university. They made an exception for Notre Dame. And B, they again shifted from the pre-buy model to the buy and hold model, except for Notre Dame. They allowed us to continue with that pre-buy for this particular instance. So that was, again, a great, like I said, we have more of a relationship with CDW than just purchasing our hardware. They're helping us with our hardware asset management, the Ham Pro configuration within ServiceNow. We have a project we're working on with that. And there are a lot of other projects across the university that they are helping with. And this is just an example of why they're such a great partner to work with and that they do genuinely care about Notre Dame and are some of the biggest fans we have out there. And they are always going a step beyond to try to accommodate and do what's right by the university. So I couldn't be happier with that.
that's great. And for kind of a comparison, I mean, one of the things that we should be aware of, especially our listeners as consultants, is we have this pre-buy, we have this inventory sitting and waiting for us. It's not like it's just on the books and kind of earmarked. I mean, there's physical equipment warehoused in Chicago. And so if we were to buy those standard or enhanced machines, we're getting delivery immediately, or nearly immediately. I mean, we're not waiting for it to be built. Whereas I've heard that other manufacturers are having, I mean, we have some delays. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're hearing out in the industry otherwise?
Yes, absolutely. I will preface this with Dell is not seeing extended lead times for manufacturing machines. Their typical lead time is 7 to 10 business days, and we are still sitting within that window. And I am checking weekly to monitor any changes with that. And yes, as you mentioned, CDW is holding inventory for us. It's already been built, it's already been shipped. Everything is accounted for and reserved specifically for Notre Dame. And here eventually we are going to need to submit the purchase orders and bring all of that inventory on site, which we're working on a physical space where we can house all that inventory so that we have it available for everyone. Other manufacturers and other companies, I have heard that their lead times are anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks up to 12 weeks, and that some other manufacturers are canceling their customers' POs, just canceling them, that they can't provide the equipment.
Oh, wow.
They've got nothing. So again, I'm very grateful for our partners. I know that there is a mixed bag of preference for Dell specifically, but I will say I'm glad to have machines to provide for everyone versus not. So that's a good place to be, especially in this current market.
So it sounds like amidst the kind of scariness of this, I mean, it seems like there are a lot of good things, and we do have good partners, and they care about us. Go Irish. Are there any other silver linings that you see or opportunities, maybe for the consultants or anyone wanting to place an order or anything like that?
Yeah. So currently, Apple, their pricing is holding, which is great. And again, I'm monitoring that very closely. They are unsure if they will see an increase in price. My prediction, though I'm not psychic, although I wish maybe I was, is that if they do see an increase, I would say it wouldn't hit or impact until um, a little bit later. I would say several months, maybe 6 months or so is my guess. And if there is an increase, I don't think it will be anywhere near what we're seeing with Windows. Apple is insulated better, and as we all know, kind of their own thing. So that is a positive there. Additionally, yes, we're looking at, like I had mentioned before, every option and possibility, whatever that may be. We are evaluating warranties, the required warranty for CWP, that we have the 4-year warranty. We're looking at overall life cycle of machines. We're looking at if we were to do self-funded warranty, or additional like third-party options for warranty. I mean, even if there's something that most of us are like, maybe that's not the best idea, we're still exploring it because we just want to make sure that we haven't left anything out. And additionally, in reviewing our current fleet and looking at what users are using what endpoints, and trying to align with potential other models for those faculty and staff members across the university who maybe don't need such a spec'd up machine. We are evaluating currently the MacBook Neo. But again, that would be more for our baseline user and not for our heavy hitters, because obviously I'm sure anyone listening to this has already explored the Neo, since there was such it was a big commotion when that came out, which was exciting nonetheless. We do have some of those in the imaging center. If anyone is interested, let me know. But yes, we are exploring that to see how much it can hold. And then we're evaluating potential position classifications to see what areas or what actual position numbers that might be a good option for. Additionally, Dell is providing us a comparable option to the Neo for us to explore as well for our Windows users, so it's not just Mac. And I will say, if you have been interested in exploring Mac, or you have end users that are on the fence and maybe want to give it a shot but don't want to commit, I was the same way. Reach out and let us know. We're happy to provide a loaner for them to explore before they commit, to a 4-year lock in with that particular machine. However, whatever we can do to help everyone identify their need and what they're comfortable with, we're happy to do so. So if that's something they've been questioning, we can connect and, evaluate if they need, the MacBook Pro or MacBook Air. And then based on our loaner pool, we can go ahead and provide something for them, give them that option. And eventually, that may be helpful in the long run, because we do know, outside of just pricing, we have a bit more ease of use with Macs. They're a lot easier to image, and they're, I think, easier to manage as well. So we're not basing solely everything on, a potential temporary price increase. However, just overall, dynamics and benefits of each operating system, I think Mac kind of takes the cake on that. And I hate to say that, but
Well, and it's really a reflection of this moment right now. We don't know what this is going to look like long term. We don't know, and since you're talking about Apple a little bit, I can concur. We're not hearing rumors about pricing going up yet, but just earlier this week, we started to see impacts on the Mac Mini and some of the Mac Studio configurations. That those particular models are now going out up to like 4 months or 5 months out. And that Apple is making some hardware changes. They've dropped the 512 gig of RAM option in the Mac Studio. My understanding is, from what I'm hearing, if RAM is expensive, if RAM is at a premium, why drop it into a single box that very few people are going to buy instead of being able to use those same chips somewhere else? I don't know that that's the case, but boy, it sure seems smart if it is. But yeah, so we're starting to see timing issues, not pricing issues there.
yes.
And let the record show that Jen is using a MacBook right now because her Windows was not working.
Yes, so I pulled
Oh
out my
boy.
trusty Mac, and yes, and also the camera's a lot better on this one too, which is
Yeah, right? And Mac we
Yeah.
trust.
Yes. Oh
Please
my gosh,
send all
I
your
love
hate mail to btspodcast
Yeah,
at indy.edu.
listen, I've used Windows like my whole life until
Until
like
this
6
moment.
months ago. Yeah.
So Jen, you mentioned in an earlier meeting something about our refresh windows. Is anything changing with regards to that, or are there any opportunities there?
Yeah, so we're looking at everything as mentioned, and with our Macs, just given how well they operate for a longer amount of time and hold their value and such. Um, Again, we're looking to see if extending Macs to a 5-year refresh cycle would make sense. And again, we're just exploring these options. This doesn't mean that this is definitely a path that we're moving. That's not the case. But it is something we're considering. We're evaluating 3, 4, and 5-year failure rates on Macs. We're looking at how many warranties have been utilized within those years. And then we'll really, again, look at the data holistically and make a determination if that's a direction we want to pursue or not. So, and I will keep everyone apprised of these things as we work through them, and any direction that we are heading. And as always, if you think of a question or something, feel free to ping me or email me or text me. A song just popped in my head. You can call me on my cell phone. Like someone just said that to me last week, but that too, if you have my number, go ahead. So,
And so
Let-
is it
let-
accurate to
let's-
say that you can still order a computer up to 90 days before
yes.
the refresh? Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome.
90-day refresh window. Will have the inventory, especially for the Windows machines. So, but don't panic and, rush order all of your CWP refreshes for your area. That's not necessary. So we will have them, but yes, 90 days is the window. And remember to have your end user bring back their CWP so that we can either you hang on to them in your area and use for your individual loaner pool. Otherwise, bring them back to the service desk. That way we can reutilize them for other areas who may need or limited term positions or folks that don't qualify for CWP. At least then we'd be able to provide them with a machine. So.
And Jen, there might be some concern that we have machines just sitting in inventory over at CDW and that the clock is ticking on the warranty, that we're going to lose, 6 months of warranty on these machines. Is anything being done to mitigate that?
Another reason why Dell and CDW are such great partners was they have added a 90-day window onto our 4-year warranty. So actually, our warranty is 4 years and 3 months. And that accounts for the 90 days that our pre-buy inventory is sitting on their shelf. So if we happen to bring that equipment on within 30 days, well, then our end user gets an additional 2 months for free on top of the 4 years. So yes, that is accounted for. And that is also why we only purchased enough machines to get us through to the end of the calendar year. We wanted to be cognizant of the warranty, and we don't want to be paying for a warranty that we aren't going to take advantage of the full time frame. So yes, there's going to be a gap in there for sure, and that warranty clock will start ticking on some of those machines. However, it makes sense towards the end of that CWP life cycle for those machines, if the warranty has run out, should something happen to that end user's machine and they should be within their eligibility window at that point, but if they're not or near, we'll likely just bump up their refresh a little bit to accommodate. And as I'm sure you all can tell, having that equipment serves a better purpose, is more of a benefit than really worrying about a few extra months without, warranty. So, but we still had to have a balance. We didn't want to panic buy. So,
Right.
yeah.
So you've already covered several of the changes, but I wanted to ask about a few things in particular. And again, this is where I'm going to insert our little disclaimer that plans are worthless, but planning is everything. And we're kind of in that stage, right, where the CWP steering committee, of which I'm a member, so I'm seeing Jen talk about this a lot. I know we as a steering committee are considering several different options, and you mentioned a few of them. You talked about warranty adjustments, that we might adjust the duration of the warranty, maybe shorter or whatever. But we also might be looking at some of the benefits changes. Can you tell us right now on the Dells what kind of what's the warranty that we've got now, and how might we change the level of benefits?
Yeah. So right now we have Dell Pro Plus, which is their highest level of warranty support. It involves having a Dell technician, show up on site to make repairs or troubleshoot or what have you. However, I feel like a lot of people probably aren't even aware that we have that level of support on our warranty. So that's, again, another piece that we're looking at, because if we aren't taking advantage of everything that offers, then is it really necessary for us to pay that level of support? I would say most people, when they need a repair or something is happening with their Dell, they're taking it to the bookstore, and that's okay. But again, we don't need to pay for coverage that we're not utilizing. So we're really evaluating and looking at that and like what their next step down level is, and if the cost savings or cost avoidance within that makes sense based on how and what our needs are within our current warranty usage. So yeah, that's just one piece of it. I guess one other piece of that is like, for example, with Apple Care, we get 4-year Apple Care with NSF, so no service fee if someone were to take their machine. What would maybe we still do 4-year, but without NSF, and then maybe that charge, what is it, like $70 or $75?
75 maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Then maybe then the department would be responsible for that should something happen to their machine and it needs a repair. And that's still like a what if, scenario, and not guaranteed that their department would have to pay it, but also depending on how much that would save us, versus the one-offs where someone needs to use it. We just, again, have to look at every component, because when we're evaluating these things in the mass quantity that we do for CWP, that really does create some value add and cost savings across the board. So,
and again, just so we don't foment panic, we don't know that charge would come to the department. We don't even know that we would go in that direction.
Exactly.
If we go that direction, it may be a charge that's covered centrally. Lots of things are on the table, but But suffice to say, you're living in a lot of spreadsheets right now,
Yeah.
crunching a lot of data, trying to
Yeah.
figure out all the cost benefit, all the returns, the ROI. Yeah, lots of different factors going to go into this.
Exactly.
Life cycle adjustments were another thing that I think you mentioned. Like with the Macs, you felt really comfortable going to like a 5-year cycle. Might we do that on the PC side as well? Is that fine? I know we're considering at least on the Mac side, so that's a data point, but
Yeah. I
that's
it
one.
we're getting that information, and we had our QBR recently with Dell. Um, we don't have, unfortunately, a lot of historical data for our Dell machines, being that it's been like 2 years since we really made that transition. However, we have had that equipment, but it's just not in the volume that it has been lately.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think we are in a place to make that determination with Dell yet because we don't have quantifiable data for it. B, just based on life cycle and I don't know, fail rates, and just knowing where things have landed when someone is getting close to their refresh date. The majority of people who reach out to me to see if we can bump up their refresh are Windows users.
Oh,
So again, potentially we're looking at everything, but in the market and other fleets at enterprises and how they're structured, again, I'm looking at all of that as well. There are a lot of universities or enterprises that have a 5-year refresh on their Macs and a 4-year. I've seen one that has a 3-year on their Windows machines.
wow.
I know, interesting, right? So
Yeah.
again, yes, we'll explore it. However, I'm not leaning in that direction, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. So
Again, just another option that's on our
yes.
table. And you've talked about some new model exploration. You talked about the Neo as a possible baseline thing. Now, again, I think the conversation so far hasn't been we're considering that as the base CWP model. We're thinking of that as like a level 0, not a level 1, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So it wouldn't be, we would really evaluate if someone requested that, like what is their position? And based on how we determine eligibility, the, iPads codes and things that we look at, and their position responsibility, it would really, I would make sure that they fall in line with that being a machine that they can use, because I would also hate for them to, hey, I really want this Neo, and then they get into using it 6 months later and are like, this isn't really working for me. We can't do that either. So we really have to be careful about how we move forward with that.
Yeah. So it's a very attractive price point, and we are attracted to that, but we're really being extra mindful of. We know the specs are on the low side too. So
Yes. And also don't know that a Neo would be a 5-year refresh cycle,
yeah.
if we were to go in that direction. So again, just something to consider. Lots of variables here.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Dell model that's in a similar place too, that we're also evaluating maybe for that baseline user as a sort of
Windows
level
option.
0 Windows machine. And I think the final note I have is you've mentioned buyback programs in the steering committee meetings. Is that's something we haven't done in the past? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So Apple, I'm sure many have heard of this, but their buyback program that they offer through them, just because Macs hold their value so well. They also work with other, I don't know companies that will pay a higher amount for like a buyback of a fleet. So that's also something we're exploring. I'm exploring with our higher education account executive at Apple. We've been in close contact, and I think talk weekly. She's probably sick of me at this point, but that's okay. So her and I are exploring all of that. We're also looking at like the lease option. Again, doesn't mean that that's where we're going, but we just don't want to leave anything off the table in case there is something that makes sense. And we don't know what we don't know, right? Like if we've never explored this within CWP and how that could make a bigger impact to our overall budget and how we're able to provide for our end users, we need all of the information to be able to move in the appropriate direction. So
Well, I'm already thinking of one of the positive spins of a possible buyback program is, we're worried all the time about old machines coming back to campus, and if we can just sell them to somebody else, and
Yeah.
so it's not our users that bring them back, and that
Yes.
that's definitely an attractive part. I know there's much more complexity to the question, but that stands out to me as one possible benefit of that.
Well, we have to get our asset remediation on point in order to do that. So please get your endpoints returned from your end users, whether to you or to us, and update your records within ServiceNow. Make that an easier choice.
So there's a lot changing, of course.
Possibly changing.
Yes,
Big disclaimers.
I had that in
Possibly.
my head and then I said it and I came out wrong. So there's a
Don't
lot that
scare
could
everyone.
potentially change. But Jen, to finish off, can you just reassure us of what is not changing and what is staying the same? Maybe like allocations or CTOs, someone or something that someone looking to place an order would kind of consider.
Yes, that is a great question because I've actually received a lot of inquiries lately if the CWP allocation, the monetary amount, is going to increase. Um, at this time, no. However, that is and has been on my list for my 5-year plan, perhaps longer. I guess there's a lot of other people who have to weigh in on that as well. But I understand that $1,100 is not reasonable necessarily to cover the cost of a machine. Um, I have the history of our allocations and how they have changed over time, which hasn't been very often. And obviously, on the greater scale of things, if we were to increase the allocation dollar amount, that would really increase our budget. Our budget comes from a restricted fund and is used for more than just CWP. It's used across campus for a lot of different technology needs. So we really have to weigh the amount and where we see the need within that given year. And I am grateful that we at least do get 1,100 per allocation. So again, no, that will not be changing. That's not something we're looking at right now. However, it is something that has been on my list for a while and something that, yes, I do plan to explore maybe when the market is a little less tumultuous. And then for our CTOs, that pricing is not locked in, unfortunately. So if you are looking on buy and D at the CDW punch out, the prices that are listed on there for particular machines is the current pricing that would be paid. It is not a contracted amount. And I actually recommend reaching out to Mike at CDW. I can provide his contact information if someone needs it, because he can work with Dell to get a quote and then wrap in that warranty piece as well, because our CTOs or the options available on the punch out don't include the warranty. That way, also, I know they've made some exceptions for some particular models. Not always, but he has pushed, like, can we get this at a lower rate? It's for Notre Dame. And they've been able to do that. And he would probably kill me for saying that on this podcast.
We're lighting up Mike's phone now. Yeah.
I know. But I would recommend going in that direction. And then it's super easy to create a cart and buy and D, and you just punch in the quote number and go to checkout, and it's done. So no, that pricing is not locked in on those CTOs. Also, the quotes that are being provided are only good for 2 weeks, 14 days. However, I've seen instances, not from us, thankfully, or for us, where a PO was cut, there was an order received on CDW's part. And then there was a price increase that came from the manufacturer before that particular order shipped, and it impacted their pricing. It increased the amount.
Didn't cancel the order, didn't come back and say, hey, by the way,
yeah. So that is why you see that it's like a warning message when you go to CDW's punch out, but it comes through also on an email. That's what that's about. They had that happen. And I think at that point they had like an emergency meeting and wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. So if you do get a quote, I would recommend submitting your order ASAP, just to ensure that that doesn't happen. Additionally, I will be sending out correspondence weekly that I'll be tracking our standard and enhanced pricing changes week over week. Again, that won't be what we're paying, until we run out of our pre-buy inventory. But I want to provide transparency, and I'm tracking it anyway. So I want everyone to be able to see how things are being impacted week over week so that we are better prepared for when we do run out of our pre-buy inventory. And I'm also tracking lead times for Dell. And I may start throwing Mac in there as well, but just expect that weekly to see that pop up in your inbox. So
that'd be great. Just as an anecdote, we're already starting to see those CTO price increases in Elko. We're buying, or we're getting a couple of quotes for like what we think of as lectern computers, tinies or minis, whatever they're called. And our pricing on those with the warranty in the past had run right around $1,300. And we just tried to order one recently, and they said, "Oh yeah, by the way, with the warranty, that's $2K." And so we slimmed it down so that the very slim, almost nothing computer would still run us $1,700. So.
wow.
Yeah, the CTO prices are just crazy. So what I'm encouraging my team to do is to double down on our encouragements to folks to buy the standards, buy the standards, buy the standards. So
everything else though that we have on there is staying as is. Our inventory, like I'd mentioned for Windows, we have projected through the end of the calendar year. So we have that as well. If our specifications that we have for our standard and enhanced are not what you need specifically for your role or for your end user's role, as long as you're getting approval, you can submit a custom to order a CTO through Buy and D. We can process that way. We are still keeping inventory on site. We are still processing orders, through ServiceNow and doing our builds internally. And, our partnership continues to grow with different areas across campus, and we continue to work collaboratively. And as always, I love, well, as Chris Gill says, feedback is a gift. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I just hear him say it the most. So if you have ideas or thoughts or concerns, again, like I try to always be available unless I'm in recording podcasts. Usually then I'm not available, but please don't hesitate to reach out with questions or thoughts or ideas. There may be, I admit, things that maybe I hadn't thought of or the steering committee hasn't thought of. So I do appreciate that. And again, we are a collaborative community, and I value everyone's opinions and ideas and will take serious consideration to that. But I'm doing my best to hold the line, right? So hopefully we won't see crazy changes.
Yeah, you're carrying a lot and you're doing it well.
Jen, just in case you don't hear it often enough, I mean, you're doing a fabulous job. I mean, again, if nothing else, the single data point of saving $400 and some odd $1,000 is huge. But we've heard so much over the last several minutes about how much more you're doing for the program and how you're looking out for all of us, maintaining the partnerships and trying to do what's best for campus. So thank you. I know we appreciate it over here. So
thanks. Thank you all. I appreciate, again, your contributions, and just want to reiterate, like, I'm not just making decisions that I think are best. I'm really looking at this holistically and what's best for each of the different areas across campus, as everybody handles their fleet and refreshes a little bit differently. So again, open to feedback. There's like 25 areas. So if I haven't heard from you in a while and you have thought, let me know.
All right, it is time again for another Did You Know Tech Edition. Is everybody ready?
Ooh,
Yes.
I am.
I'll recap the rules here real quickly. This is a quiz that I get to give to the guest and the host that nobody knows before the time of recording. Only I know the question and the answer. Points are allotted for every correct answer. Currently, the guests are in the lead right now with 12 points. Scooter, you're behind with 10 points. Deanna is following with 7. I, on the flip side, have 2 points. And a reminder, the only time I get points is if nobody gets the question correct. So today's question, I think, is going to be an easy one, but we shall see.
I think you're setting us up. You just want to laugh at us when we all fail miserably and you get the points.
Well, you know how I like to do. So we'll see how it goes. Here is the question. Simple and easy. What does PDF stand for?
Oh my gosh. I was just
I
looking
didn't
at
even know
this.
that.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you look this up? Or why would you?
I don't know.
Well, to help, I
trying to
will give
remember
you
what it
4 choices to pick from. So the question is, what does PDF stand for? Is it A, portable document format, B, portable data format, C, print distribution format, or D, processed data file?
Those are all great answers, Andy. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's where the trick comes in.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I think since the guests are in the lead, I think Jen has to answer first.
Yeah.
I am going to go with, was it C, print
Print distribution format.
distribution format? That's what I'm going to go with.
All right. Jen's locked in at C. Deanna, Scooter?
I'm looking at Deanna.
Why? I always get it wrong.
All right. I'll go with A,
You're going with portable
Portable
document format.
document format. Yeah.
Okay. We have a C and an A.
Can you repeat them?
Yep. So A, portable document format. B, portable data format. C, print distribution file format. And D, processed data file.
I'll go with C.
All right. So we got 2 C's with Jen and Deanna and an A with Scooter. So that could mean I get points. We shall see. The correct answer is A, portable document format. So Scooter got that
What?
correct.
Yay.
That was I initially thought that, and I should
Yeah.
know.
But then I was thinking of like the print previews, and there's always a PDF. So I was like, okay, maybe it's print something.
Well, I was
This is
thinking,
why
when
I chose those
print
answers.
something,
You gotta
Yes.
go farther back in time.
that was the tricky one.
Yeah.
You need a
I-
quote, Andy, like just on your wall. You know how I do. And
You know how I do.
Yes. Yes.
So those were great choices. All right. Jen, I've got one final question for you. You know, what's the one thing? I mean, you've given us a ton of information, but what's the one thing that our listeners should really take away from today's conversation? The thing to do, the thing to not do, what can our consultants do?
Well, I was gonna say the one thing to take away is I got your back. That's initially where my brain went.
Yes.
And I would say one thing to do is if you have a question, ask it in any facet. If it has to do with the market or an idea for CWP or even as simple as what's the quoted amount for this particular machine, ask it. I think that's the most important. We don't know if we don't ask, and we don't know what we don't know. So just by asking a question could open up, a different dialogue, and it might benefit more than just you. So yeah, if you have a question, ask it, and I've got your back.
Oh, that's wonderful. So thank you so much, Jen. It's really been a pleasure chatting with you, having you back, helping us walk through some of these potential changes. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for
thank
having
you.
me. Always a pleasure.
If you've got someone you'd like us to interview, just email those ideas to btspodcast@indy.edu. If there's anything else new, exciting, frustrating, or inspiring happening in your IT consultancy world, please share that with us too. We'd love to hear your insights and ideas. Signing off from behind the screens, IT at Indy.
Stay tech savvy, Notre Dame.
One, two, three, four.
Yeah, yes. I feel like the bloopers are going to be a lot of me just hacking. I'm so sorry.
It'll just be one big hack session. We're going to plug them all together, just run them together.
That would be so gross, but kind of awesome.